Listen, man, Jude Bellingham is operating in God mode. It's the only conceivable thing that I can kind of think of because the form that he is exhibiting during this tournament, it's absolutely ridiculous. Do you guys believe? Do you genuinely believe England will win this World Cup? If so, do you think it's going to be Jude Bellingham as the main sole reason? Not Harry Kane, not Thomas Tuchel. Forget all of that. I'm talking Jude Bellingham. Let's get into it. So obviously, I'm asking everybody because, like I said, man, the form that Jude Bellingham is currently in is ridiculous. And listen, 2 goals again against Norway, putting in a I'm not going to sit here and say it was a fantastic performance because I don't think England played well. In fact, I don't think England have really played well throughout this entire tournament. Not that it matters though, because when you're talking about tournament football, those kind of things are irrelevant, at the end of the day. And Tuchel was brought in to win these kind of games, to win these kind of tournaments, to get England through these kind of tournaments. Listen, we would love England to have a style of football that resembles the Spanish. We would love to have the kind of attacking flair that the French have. We would love to have the old school Brazilian samba and all these kind of different things, but ultimately England don't have those kind of things. What England haven't done, I think, for a very, very long time, maybe you could maybe look at Glenn Hoddle's kind of era, but when we're talking about England throughout the years, one of the main things has always been not really playing to your strengths, always because of the game, because of the Premier League, because of the foreign kind of influence, the players, the managers, and all these kind of different things. England don't have their own kind of style of play, and they don't have their own, would I say, somewhat identity. And I think Jude Bellingham epitomizes what the actual, in my personal opinion, again, you're talking about someone who's played Sunday League, Academy, and all these, other various different kind of things. And for me, when I look at England as a nation and the football and all these kind of things, I feel like it's Jude Bellingham. It's and this isn't to disrespect Jude Bellingham because clearly he's an absolutely top level player. If you want to call him world class, I don't think I can even really argue. At this current moment in time. But when I think of England and Jude Bellingham, I think of it doesn't look pretty. Like for me personally, and if I'm then comparing it obviously to other nations, but it doesn't look pretty. It's not dazzling aesthetically or anything, like that. But every now and again, there's that kind of bit of quality that you look at and you think, oh, all right, fair enough. And you seem to be able to just get the job done. And that's how I kind of look at the way that England have performed this tournament, the way that Jude Bellingham has obviously performed this tournament, and also just looking at what is what makes England England, in terms of in football context, what is it about England that we can use to help in these kind of situations, help in these kind of tournaments. And I'm going to be honest, it is exactly what Jude Bellingham has been exhibiting during this tournament. It's that grit, it's that determination, it's that never say die kind of attitude. And again, sprinkle it with a little bit of quality. Like I said, it's not going to look great. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Jude Bellingham, bloody hell, when he's on the ball, it doesn't. It really, really doesn't. But it doesn't matter. Ultimately, you're here to win. You're here to try and win the World Cup. You're here to put in a performance that is good enough to get you through these kind of rounds. And listen, everyone's talking about, Thomas Tuchel and, what he said after the game and Jude's kind of response to that. But again, it's just factual. England weren't great. They were lucky to, obviously win the game. I also thought they were somewhat lucky against Mexico, as much as I felt that maybe the overriding feeling in terms of, yeah, maybe you just about deserved it just because of the last, what I say, 10 minutes of that Mexico game. But if we're looking at the Norway game as a whole, yeah, England, were lucky to get through, but you're going to need luck. You need, like, I mean, I can't remember every single game that Spain had in the 2010 World Cup, but I'm going to say that they were lucky, in moments throughout that World Cup. Again, France, when they won it recently, again, I'm going to say that they had luck. I can't remember every individual game, but I'm going to say that they had luck, somewhere along the way. Argentina definitely had luck, in the last the last edition of the World Cup. So you're going to need those things to get there. I'm not sitting here saying England going to win the World Cup or anything like that. It's not really about that. It's just more about playing to your strengths, understanding what it is that you have as a team, as individuals, as a player, as a coach, etc., that can then help you towards this kind of journey. And Jude Bellingham, I don't know what it is, because it's not like he was coming off a good season with Real Madrid. If I'm being honest, he was quite poor. Yes, injuries and stuff like that, of course, and the team as a whole. So we're not going to sit here and, lie, but it's a bit like Mbappe. You look at them and think, "Oh, where did this come from?" And it probably just shows towards their quality as players. That, listen, had a bad season with the club, fair enough, cool, we move on. But guess what? Now heading into international football, where maybe it's a different type, well, it is a different type of pressure. Now I can ultimately kind of show everybody what it is that we're all about. And there's a lot kind of riding on this, and it's in such a short, congested time period that maybe it's one of those, listen, as long as I can carry this kind of form for the next, month, 2 months, or whatever, however long the World Cup is, then I'm good to kind of go. And these kind of players are they're showing that, man. Like I said, Jude Bellingham, he's definitely going to be up there for player of the tournament. He has to be. He has to be, because he's just operating at a different level, to everybody in his team, first and foremost. His team is now in the World Cup semi-finals. I don't know many players who have been as clutch or as good as Jude Bellingham. Like I said, Kylian Mbappe, Elise, I might have, ahead of him in terms of their kind of effect, their influence, in the tournament, thus far. Harry Kane would be on the list, but I would still put him, behind Jude Bellingham. But listen, this is just more just to big up Jude. Like I said, I'm not his biggest fan in terms of as a player. I do think that, again, I'm very, very biased. You guys already know this, for those who are watching this and know me, like, I'm very biased to the type of midfielders and the type of players that I like. And he doesn't really fit that kind of mold. But like I said, to me, he's like a typical English midfielder, and he's got that kind of sprinkle of quality that he can kind of dazzle in there. And when you're so clutch, it kind of reminds me of like Steven Gerrard. When you're so clutch, in these kind of moments, listen, it doesn't even matter. It really, really, forget stylistically, forget aesthetically pleasing, or all of these kind of buzzwords. It's really just about how effective can you be towards helping your team, to get kind of, gain the victory. And at this moment in time, he is being ultra effective. Is it 5-6 goals he's got now in the tournament? I think he's got an assist, thrown in there. He's helped England, like I said, throughout this tournament. And I think also as well, when you're looking at someone like him, what I do like about him is that he seems like someone who's quite self-aware. He doesn't strike me as someone who isn't self-aware. He seems like he's very self-aware in his own performances, in the team's performances, in what he could potentially do better, what they did good, all these kind of, various different things. So I look at him and I think to myself, at least you're not someone who rests on your laurels. You seem to understand. And listen, everyone laughs and says, I think they call him, I think the nickname they give him is Unk. You know what I'm saying? They call him Unk in the England camp, and it makes sense because he's so mature. He did this. He's not putting in performances like a guy of his age. He's putting in the performance of a guy who's 28, 29, 30. I've been here, done this. This is my 6th World Cup or 4th World Cup or whatever it is, kind of thing. I've played under the old generation. I'm now in the new generation. I'm kind of the elder statesman in the team. He performs like that. He carries that kind of energy when, again, we're just watching him. But even when I've seen him live, I saw him when England played against Greece, a little while ago. And when you're watching him, again, watching him on the ball and dribble, it looks a bit kind of fugazi. But when you're just watching him as a player, you can see he carries that kind of energy, with him and about him. So I have to big him up for that 100%. And like I said, for me, he's been easily England's best player, like easily. I don't think it's even close. Harry Kane, of course, has been England's 2nd best player. Don't really know after that. But just in terms of the best player for England, and probably going to be the reason if England do get to the final of the World Cup, I feel like it's going to be Jude Bellingham. I really, really do feel like it's going to be Jude Bellingham. So listen, man, big up to himself. Hopefully he can kind of continue this form, keep pushing on, keep moving forward. I don't know where this takes England. Maybe just to the next round. At the time of this video, Argentina are defeating Switzerland 2-1. So who knows? Who knows? We'd have to, of course, wait and see. But let me know your thoughts, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section in regards to Jude Bellingham. Is he operating at God level mode? Is he going to be the reason as to why it is finally coming home? By the way, if it does come home, we want bank holidays and the whole works. I want everything. Do you get what I'm saying? I want bank holidays, like for 3 days or something. I need something. We need something. Otherwise, it coming home was just kind of pointless. I don't really care after that point. Do you get what I'm saying? I will only be invested if it means that we benefit from this in some way, shape, or form. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section about Jude Bellingham. How highly do you rate him? Do you think he is one of the best midfielders in the world? And I'm not talking just because of this World Cup. Did you think this before the World Cup? I'd love to see what people actually thought, in the comment section, because I know a lot of people have changed their minds. For some reason, a tournament has changed people's opinions. I hear it. It is what it is. Let me know. Keep the same energy. Stay blessed. I'll catch you guys soon. Boom.